Okay, hey guys. Oops, sorry. Just gonna fix that. Okay. Hi, well, guys. So, here we are. End of day, June 3rd, I think it is. June 4th. My goodness. So, end of day, June 4th. And I've just been gardening like it ain't nobody's business for the past couple days. It's been hard work, but it's been great. It's been very satisfying because I've been pulling out weeds, and that's been kind of fun. Um, yeah, so I've just been doing that. It was really great. So yesterday, Jayarada Dasi had put me on a mission to clean out like one of the front gardens, and so she's telling me, okay, you gotta pull out all these weeds, and then we're gonna plant in these calendula flowers and lavender. And I'm like, perfect. What do I do after that, And she's like, well, then after that there's this whole side, L-shaped bed here, and then there's this whole part in the front. I'm like, perfect. So I jump in right away. I'm in that first little garden bed, pulling out all the weeds, and so I pull out all the big weeds and get most of it out, and then I go through it with that little tool that has like the three little, I don't know, it kind of looks like that, little claw tool, and I go through it like that, and I get out like the root beds, like it kind of like sometimes the roots all clump together, so I kind of pull those out and all the little baby weeds. So I was doing that, and it had been about an hour or so that I had been out there, and she comes out and she checks on me, and she's like, wow, and her jaw just drops. She's like, you've done all that? Like, she's like, you're so fast. I'm like, yeah. And I stand up, because I'm crouched over. And she notices I'm in my bare feet. So I'm barefoot in the garden. She's like, you're in your bare feet too. She starts laughing. She thought it was so funny. And she ended up taking a couple pictures, and one of the dogs came out and was sniffing around. So she was really like, oh my goodness, like you've done a lot in just like an hour, I don't think she was expecting me to be that far along. And she just loved that I was barefoot in the garden. And so anyways, I cleaned that all out, and then I went ahead and I planted in the calendula flowers and lavender, and then I started working on the L-shaped garden, and I ended up cleaning all that out and planting a whole bunch of calendula and lavender alongside it too. And that was day one. Well, that was yesterday. And I like swept like the path like that's in front of the gardens, like all stone and stuff, and cleaned it up. And they were like, wow, like you're a hard worker. They're very, very pleased with the work that I had done. So that was really nice. And then today I got started on the big long bed of flowers, of weeds really. And yeah, so I just worked on that all day. I was really tired today, so I was moving a little slower, but luckily it wasn't as hot as it was yesterday, and there was a bit more of a cool breeze. And honestly, like, I just kind of took my time. I'm not like doing this rushing around and like feel like I'm not forcing myself. I'm just like, taking my time, doing one thing at a time. And so that was fun. So I did all that today, and I cleaned it all out, and I took all the pots, and along the whole side I was planting nasturtiums, and then I was doing a couple rows of calendula and some marigolds, and then on the other side there's fuchsias and stuff. So before I started planting them, I got all the pots and I placed them all like where I wanted them to go. And I learned that from my mom, because when I would do planting with my mom, she would set all the plants down where she wants them for me. So all I had to do was go along and take them out and put them in. So I did that. I set myself all up, put all the pots where I wanted the plants to go, and figured them out and stuff. And then I was looking at it, and I was like, holy guacamole, this is a lot of plants. Like, we're talking like 30, 40 plants easy, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna get this done today. Like, I'm just gonna take my time. And I found a tool here that I guess apparently they used to use it in the army, and it's this like, it's like a shovel on a stick, but it's like bent that way, so it's like this pretty much, except like straighter. And I've been using that to dig my holes, and it's been going so well. It takes me like 2 seconds to do one plant. So I started going at it, you know. I started with the fuchsias in the shade because it was really hot. It was in the middle of the afternoon at that point. And so I did those, boom, done. And I did the nasturtiums along the front, boom, done. And I was like, okay. So then I was looking around, and I see like all the huge row of nasturtiums and all the other flowers, and I'm like, oh god, okay. And the other thing too is that when I was weeding, I'd accidentally taken out a bunch of bulbs. Like when I say a bunch, I mean like a legit fuck ton of them. Like 40 at least. Okay, maybe not 40, but like 30. Definitely more than 20, okay? Definitely more than 20. And and when we were like loading up the little truck with all the weeds and stuff to go in the compost, Jared was like, oh no, no, these are supposed to stay in. So we started like taking them all out of the weeds and putting them aside. And but it actually worked out perfectly because she wanted me to she wanted to replant them in the fall, because when they were first planted, they were planted all in a clump together, and they're supposed to be further apart, and she wanted them like throughout the garden. So she's like, it's perfect, you can actually plant them now, you can replant them. And for the kind of plant it is, I think it's some kind of hyacinth. That's what she was saying. I have no idea. But anyways, you can do it. The best time to replant them is end of spring, early summer, which is basically what it is here right now. So then I was like figuring it out on my pots, and then I was like, oh shoot, I have all these bulbs to do. God damn. So I started going and placing those where I would want to put them, and I put them all in the L-shaped bed, in the square bed that I worked on yesterday, in the huge long area that I was doing today, and then even some in the second bed on the other side of the path. And I was like, oh my god, this is insane. I'm actually crazy. But I took like a 30-minute break, and then I was like, okay. There was like 6 pots of nasturtiums in like the most annoying place ever. So I was like, I'm just gonna start with those. I'm gonna do those 6, and then I'll see how I feel. So I did those 6, and it actually went really well. And I was like, okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought. And I'm looking around, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I could do these ones. And I did a few more, and I'm like, well, I only have 3 more to do over here, so I might as well just do those 3. And I ended up doing all of them. And doing the bulbs is really easy because you just, I got the little shovel, you just stick it in, move the dirt aside, put the little guy in there, and, he's all good to go pretty much. So, needless to say, I actually got it all done, which is pretty amazing. And then I watered the garden, and when we had dinner tonight, Jairati Dusty was like, you're very goal-oriented. And I was like, I am? What do you mean? She's like, well, you got all that done. I was like, oh. I was like, honestly, I didn't think I was going to. It just ended up happening that way. And, but it was really great. She was really grateful that I've been able to get all that done. And there's a whole other section I gotta do tomorrow. But, yeah, so that's what I've been doing. And it's so funny that she thought it was funny that I was in the garden bare feet, because I'm like, I'm gardening and I see my toes every once in a while, and they're full of dirt, and it makes me think of, I don't know why, but it makes me think of the people are like, oh, those dirty hippies, and I'm just out here hanging out and sleeping in a camper and chanting Krishna's names, and my toes in the dirt, and I'm just like having fun. So it kind of makes me have those like hippie vibes, you know. But, dirty hippie, but not in the negative connotation that it's often used in. And the other thing, too, because I've been working outside so much, I don't know. I mean, anyone who really gardens is going to know this is a thing, but you get dirt up your nose, okay? And I've gardened, I've worked outside, I've done it. But I kid you not, I have never had so much dirt up my nose in my entire life. And like, not that I feel it there or anything, but when you're working outside and there's all the dust going and stuff like that, like sometimes you get like sniffly, and I blow my nose and like there's like dirt, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, this is weird. And yeah, so I've been breathing in a lot of dirt these past couple days, which has been fun, I guess. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's been the past couple days, and last night I was like, I hit a point of being overtired because I haven't like really been sleeping very well. Like I'm not staying asleep, and the time difference and the jet lagness is still trying to like work itself out. Another thing too, it's like light out until like 10:30, which I mean, I know in the summer whatever, but like at home, like I don't think it ever stays light out until like 10:30. Like I don't think it ever goes that far. So I don't know. I kind of feel like it's messing with me. Maybe I'm just making excuses for myself. I don't know. But I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's messing with me. I'm like, wow, why is it still light out? It's supposed to be dark. I need to sleep. But I have a sleeping mask, thank God. But still, it's weird. Anyhow, what was I saying? Right, haven't been sleeping well. Super tired. Oh yeah, so last night I was overtired, and when I get overtired, I start to think a lot, and I get all in my feels, and I get emotional, and I start crying about something. And so that happened last night, and I was thinking a lot about this whole like spiritual master thing, and the talk that Krishna Das and I had. And I had the realization that I am so not ready or in a place to take on a spiritual master. I've got a lot to figure out before that happens. And I was feeling like when I had that realization, it was really relieving because it felt like I had like taken some pressure off of myself, like I felt like I'd been pushing against something, trying to make the spiritual master thing happen. And then when I finally like realized and accepted like I'm not ready, it was like, whew, okay, it was really relieving. And but then then I felt guilty because I was like, I understood that I need to take the time to be in this space of not being ready, but I felt guilty because I feel like I should want to be ready, but I don't. I'm very much like, I'm good here not being ready and not wanting to be ready, and I'm going to be in this space until I figure out whatever I need to figure out and move along. But I was overtired and emotional, and I was getting really upset because I was like, I should want to be ready, but I don't, and I'm sorry. And like, anyways, I was just, yeah, I was all over the place with it. So that was, I guess I don't know, to me it felt like a lot. Maybe it wasn't a real breakdown, but I felt like I was losing the plot. So, anyhow, I ended up talking with Mithuradam Das about it, and he gave me some really great advice. And the one that really stands out to me that I'm going to be taking this opportunity to talk to Krishna Das about is, you must first appreciate the need to have a spiritual master. And I think I got a lot of fog around that. It's very foggy. I'm like, appreciate the need to have a spiritual master. What is the need? Like, what role, like, what does that fulfill? What do you gain from having a spiritual master? What is the relationship? How does that work? Where does it come from? Why are we doing this? Like, what's the whole deal? And the need to have spiritual master, which is also understanding your role as a student, as a disciple, and what that means. So I'm going to be working on getting clarity on that whole situation. Um, and the other thing that he said, which I really liked, it goes with my last thing about gratitude, is be grateful Krishna has put you in the perfect situation to do this work. And I'm like, yeah, man, just fuck yeah. So I mean, I'm really grateful. I've been very grateful and continue to be grateful to be, here and on this journey over the summer. But specifically grateful that I'm in this situation to work this out is pretty special business. So, yeah, there's a couple other things in there, but those are the two that really was like, oomph, really hitting home. So I'm going to be working on that. And, yeah, it's Sunday today, so we'll see what the next few days bring. And that's my update. So I'll attach some videos of my gardening and some pictures and stuff like that. And I'll catch you guys later. Harbo. Hare Krishna. Alright. Hey guys. So today I cleaned out this whole entire section of weeds. Look at that. That's one pile. This is the second pile. So this entire bed right here was absolutely covered in weeds. And then all along here as well. So all along there and all along there. I cleaned out all the weeds, and then I planted all these calendula flowers that you're seeing, all the ones with the orange heads, and then all along here, and then in between the calendula flowers and whatnot, there are little lavender plants, so I planted all of those. Pretty much took me all day to do this. I did take a break in the afternoon to do some yoga, because it got absolutely blaringly hot as all this is in the sun in the afternoon. So I was like, yep, we out. We gonna go chill. So, yeah. That is what I did day one. And tomorrow, I get to do all of this. So all of this is covered in weeds. There are actual plants in between, hidden underneath all this. So all along here, all along over here. So I'm going to be cleaning this all out tomorrow, and then planting these nasturtiums at the other end so they fall down the wall of the garden. So good times. My arms are absolutely messed by the weeds. I'm all red. So I had a skin irritation, sensitivity to them, obviously, and then his arm's not as bad. Well, okay, it's still not great, but good times. Alright, so today I cleaned out this entire garden, which was full of weeds. That's allium, it's not weeds. And I planted in some fuchsia, some white and pink ones, and then all these little orange plants at the edge of the garden. All along I planted in nasturtiums so they fall down the wall. And these little guys are a bulb of some sort, and I had accidentally torn them all out when I was weeding, but it ended up being okay because they wanted them replanted and spread out throughout the garden. So I planted them throughout the garden here, that one over there, and in this one, and all along there. And then over here, so all this area was bare after I had pulled all the weeds, and then I added in calendula and some marigolds in. So this pretty much took me all day. I was moving pretty slow, but I mean, this entire thing was full of weeds. And like, some weeds were like 3 or 4, 5 feet tall, which is pretty wild. So yeah, and then over here you can tell I added in some of these little bulb guys. And that was my day today. Beautiful view. Harbo. Hare Krishna. It wasn't as hot today, which is nice. It was cooler. So these are the gardens. I'm very proud of my front garden work. And added in these little bulbs in here.